Okay, barrel is roughed in to the 4-jaw chuck and the Grizzly G0509G. We are supported by the big old heavy 4-jaw chuck in the front. About, how much is sticking out? A couple inches sticking out. And there are little brass shims between the jaws and the shank of the barrel. The shims are very small and short, something like that, which protects the barrel and also gives us a pivot point when we are aligning this to the chamber section. So to begin with, I'm using a range rod. 30 cal range rod with a 30 cal bushing on it that nicely fits the bore. And that's going to let us indicate on two places, very similar to the blueprinting jig and the 1/2-inch mandrel that sticks out of the actions. So this will enable us to get a reading, run out reading on articulating the barrel as we are aligning that chamber section for our premium fitting and chambering barrel service. Rather than centering around here and centering around in the back, and then there's that curvature of the bore. So the propensity of a misaligned chamber to the bore is a little bit higher. It's very small, but doing it this way ensures that that chamber is essentially the throat. As that bullet leaves the cartridge, it's fired and leaves the case, it enters that bore perfectly true, concentric, right? So that's the idea here. So what I'm going to do is spin the chuck by hand and go ahead and start centering this stuff. So as the indicator is in this position, close to the muzzle, close to the breech face, we will be using the 4-jaw chuck to center that round, essentially. Then we'll come out here and use the back end spider, the 4-jaw chuck in the back, to articulate the axial alignment, right? So let's go ahead and get some travel on this indicator. So first we'll just go to the high spot, a little tighten. Low spot, loosen just slightly. We're going to keep things loose until we get close to a more perfect alignment here. All right, so there we're within a couple couple 10,000ths. Now I'm using a 1/2 thousandths indicator at this point. We will switch off to a 1/10,000ths as we normally would. So now I'm going to use the back end. And just like the blueprinting jig, we're going to go to the low spot. And you see that? A little adjustment on the back end changes our axial alignment. Now we're dealing with a 30-inch barrel here, 31-inch barrel. So that's inevitably going to throw us out here a little bit. Go to the high spot, and our chuck jaws are just barely snug at this point. Great. Move back out. And keep doing this till we get 0 run out. Now we have our 1/10,000ths indicator in there. Haven't moved the range rod. And we are showing about a half of it, well, maybe I'd say a 10,000ths run out. So let's see if we can get that out. There's the high. Plus our jaws aren't snug enough yet. But there's that. Let's check our front end, or the back end of the barrel. Boy, we are close. How do you like that, guys? Go down to the low. Slight. Actually, we're going to start using the wrench at this point because I don't want to loosen the other one. And you know, to be fair, let's see where the 308 cartridge sits in here. So, really, we want to check more like about here's where it's going to be. Of course, this is a flat breech. We're going to face a little off, so let's give it a little. That's plenty right there. So that's just well ahead, so we're going to pretend like a little material's missing here. So we want that to be just a little bit forward of there, and then some. So this is a little bit more realistic. Way out here would be way deep in the barrel. And it's, I mean, whatever, it's the same run out. High, low. God, there it is. There's dead nuts. So there's high, low. So we're not actually bottomed out on anything as far as the test indicator goes. Now here, remember this rod is tapered, so that's why you saw the indicator move down 30 to 30. So it's tapered, starts big and ends up small. So if you were wondering, that's why that climbs up like that, right? So it's tapered, but it's still a perfectly ground round rod. Okay, we need to start tightening the jaws for machining. There it is. There we go. Okay, this barrel is aligned. Our chamber section here is now running perfectly straight. Next thing to do is find the high spot of the barrel, mark it on the chuck so we know where to index our receiver. So we're going to put a DTI, DOS test indicator, on the back of the lathe here and find our high spot of this barrel in relation to the bore. And for that, we can also use this range rod. We're just getting a high spot, right? We're not centering anything, who cares? Just want to see where the high spot is. So here we're coming up on the high spot, and it's not bottomed out. The indicator has a little bit left. Little bit left in it. So we're going to go ahead again and just find that high spot right there. It's a little bit like between these two. Right there's dead nuts high. So we're going to put a little T here for top or H, and then on the four-jaw chuck, same thing, right about here. And that's where we're going to want our receiver. When this is threaded, we want that receiver to have a little bit left for that final torquing, and then torque top dead center right there. I know it's redundant. I say this every single time, and I got a lot of videos about it, but I mean, this is the internet, so this may be the first time somebody's seeing this. So again, when that action torques up here, the barrel being high means that bullet is exiting the barrel instead of right or left or down. We want it to go up, which for long range shooting, that's going to give you some benefits. It's going to give you a little less on the scope that you have to dial, and just an upward trajectory of the bullet. And as you can see, I pinpoint the exact high spot, so it's not like a little angle or whatever. It's going to be dead nuts, high spot of the barrel. Okay, we are ready to machine this Brux barrel, 10 twist, 31 inch, turn it into a 308 Winchester for a Savage 110 that has been blueprinted, accurized, trued up, whatever you want to call it. So, first thing we're going to do is face it off. We're just going to face it clean, get out the stamping and all that stuff, just make it look good. Then we're going to turn down our major diameter to length. Actually, we're going to be a little bit short so that we have some material left over to properly index the receiver. So anyway, first operation is going to be facing. So for that, we're going to be using a high RPM and a shallow depth of cut and a slow feed rate. Now I'm using carbide tooling. So if there's any question as to why I'm not getting a proper chip, it's because I'm not hogging off material. I don't want to mess up my alignment here. So I'm going to be taking very light cuts, 20 to 25 thousandths. There's no reason to go any further than that, so that we don't knock our alignment out that I just spent 40 minutes, doing, right? So save your comments on that. I don't need to hear how, if I use the correct insert or whatever, I wouldn't get the stringers. Who cares? And we are facing. Give it a little bit more in feed and take that cut. Yeah, that's good. That's nice. Now I'm going to grab a little die chem so we can lay out our length approximately. So 922, let's just mark it out for 900 because I want to leave a little bit to properly index this guy. So there is our line. We're going to take a scratch pass to that line and set a 0. Chattering a little bit here. This is a slow-ass feed. Yeah, it's a little bit too slow of a feed rate. So let's kick that up. LCS, yeah, we want 8. LCS 8W. So that's one detriment to having so much sticking out here from the chuck face. Gonna have a little chatter, that's okay. It's better, it's better. Come to 0, off. So yep, there you go, there's your stringers. I have to get to a depth of about 40 thousandths to avoid that. But again, I don't want to knock out anything out of alignment. Little chatter, it's okay. Let it back off. Let's take a measurement. There you go, buddy. There's your stringers. You like that? Too bad. If only I selected the correct indexable cutter, I wouldn't get those because it'd have a chip breaker on it. It has a chip breaker. It has one. Shallow depth of cut, okay? Now the other thing I can do is stick a live center in there. Okay, that ought to take care of that little bit of chatter. Nope. Well, isn't that interesting? You never know till you try, huh? A little bit of chatter is not going to hurt anything. See where we're at in terms of diameter? Yeah, we're still big. Go ahead and write down that major on my sheet here, so got that recorded proper. Now remember, a recoil lug is oversized, and that's about 150. So we're getting close to that. So we're going to machine it to the recoil lug first. Okay, now our lug fits nicely, just enough for clearance. Okay, so now we're going to lay out our second stopping point. Should be okay. Yeah. Our second stopping point is going to be right in there. We should have about 15 left to take. Yep. Let's do 10. Slowly creep up on it. Okay, we are back. I switched out my cutting tool to a 60-degree threader. And yeah, we're ready to cut the threads for this Savage, 20 threads per inch. So we've got the machine slowed down and the gears changed for the appropriate TPI. We're just going to dike them up the shank here. So I can see what is going on. And get our tool kind of slightly set up. Gotta unlock the cross slide, or the compound rest. Give it a little chamfer. Now, anytime I'm doing precision barrel work, I always switch out for a brand new insert. It's because we don't want to screw up that minor diameter. I'm just going to touch off. And then do a scratch pass and just kind of see. Verify we got 20 threads per inch. Okay, cut a little bit into that recoil lug pad, and that's fine. I want the threads under it because we don't want any binding or interference there at the very end, since there's no relief on that. So I'm just going to check with my pitch gauge, make sure we got 20 threads per inch. It's a good thing. Okay. Machine is good. A little cutting oil. And we'll proceed to thread this until we get our double depth achieved. Nice fresh cutting tool, very sharp. Just want to check one thing here. Double checking our pitch, which looks good. And yeah, we're cutting real nice. Right on the left side of the tool like we should be. Progressively in, everything's going good. All right, so as that dicum disappears, we know we're getting close. We'll be getting close to our double depth, and we'll start checking with the receiver until we fit on perfectly. Again, no need to take a whole bunch at once here. It's precision machining, not a race. With 20 threads per inch, we're going to end up around 30 thousandths depth. We're getting close, so let's take a pass and check. So with our receiver. Okay, she's starting on, getting a little tight. But this is good. It's obviously starting on there, but we got a little ways to go. And we're only about 29 thousandths depth right now. Let's position our tool. Go 1/1000ths per now, just to ease into it. Let's go one more pass at 1/1000ths in. Let's check again. Yeah, that was a little bit of a deeper cut. Just blow this off here. We don't want to be threading onto some chips and stuff like that. Okay, it's feeling nice so far. So far, so good. Okay, I think we got it. That's the stuff right there. So, we're going to stop there. There's nothing. No lateral wiggle, no this way wiggle, and no this way wiggle. So this is perfect. Perfect thread. Again, there's a little wiggle there because we need clearance. But that's it. No reason to go any deeper than that. And that's another reason I use a fresh cutter, because inevitably these things the tips get worn off, so you're not cutting a true minor diameter. So with that, I mean, what was that? 5 passes, 6 passes? Shallow, so we're not beating the tool up. Getting very nice threads there. We still have to establish our length and our indexing, but let's just check here. Square up the shoulder and all that good stuff. So here on the chuck, can we see that? Yeah, there's the T. So that's where we want the top of the action to end up. Hopefully we got a little more than a half turn to go, and that's good. It's better than being like right here, you know, like right there. That would suck, because then we need an entire turn left. So now we know we have some material on that shoulder to both properly square up and then properly establish our length. So we'll have to do some measuring and see how much we got to go. And our shouldering tool is just a nice greater than 90-degree cutter that's going to get in here and allow us to lengthen or cut that shoulder back. And it does a real nice job of squaring the surface as well, extremely well. So it's perfect 90-degree flat shoulder. Now I'm going to undercut it slightly because our recoil lug needs to fit over that. So the recoil lug has all this nice material here to sit on. These shouldering cuts I'm going to cut slightly under that, so there's no way that recoil lug can bind on a, you know, it'll be a tiny void, so there's no corner for it to get bound up on. We're going to index first, then measure and see if we have to actually take some off the face. Hopefully that's what happens. Okay, there we go. Okay, a little less than half now, and that was about 5 thousandths. And the recoil lug is still solid, so that means everything's butting up together. All of our perfectly squared up surfaces are now together, as will be one here shortly. So yeah, we're just going to take a little at a time until we get the receiver just shy of our top dead center. Mark. Let's go about 6 this time. Now there is a calculation you can do based upon the diameter and how many threads per inch to get to where you want, but I've never found that to be close enough that I trust it, so I just cut and check. So now, as you can see, we are 5/8 of the way there, nearly 3/4. You guys excited? You having a good time out there? I know I am. Stuff never gets old. I love it. Love building rifles. There we go, top. Oh, we are getting close, guys. Let's take another 2. 1, 2. Barely look like anything. Recoil lug, receiver. Ho, 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 ho. Now that is not nearly enough. That's not going to torque that much, especially with these extremely precisionally squared up surfaces. We'll be lucky to get half of that. So let's go another 2. Okay. Yep, we are just shy of that. So when it torques on, it'll be lined right up. I don't know if that's coming out on the camera very well, but we have like this much, which should be pretty much exactly what we want. Okay, just while we're here, so we close. Really hope I'm not too short. All right, so let's take a measurement on the thread extension length, make sure we're not too short. Looking for 922. Holy crap. Well, the planets aligned today, folks. I can't believe it. That is crazy. This is the second time this has happened to me. I think it was the Ruger. Yeah, I think it was the Ruger M77. I had a fluted barrel. And same thing, I was doing high side, the premium chambering service, high barrel muzzle high side up, had flutes on it. So I had to line the high side of the barrel, index it to a flute, and get my length all in one shot. And it, well, I didn't have to, but it worked. And it's, again, this is insane. 923, so 1/1000th long, that's not going to hurt anything. Unbelievable. So that is a huge win there. We don't have to do anything to the length. We already faced it off earlier, so that's clean. That's amazing. I love it. Love it when that works out like that. That's just great. Good day, I tell you what. Okay, well, we're going to check our alignment, make sure that didn't slip out for any reason. Just good practice to do before we do the chamber. But that's going to be next. So let's unlock this so I can move it. Going to get our shouldering tool out. And like I said, I'm going to set up the indicator and check our alignment with the barrel. I hope this is coming out on the camera. I know I can see the indicator in the viewfinder there, but it's so small. I really hope you can see this, but it may have shifted a 0.5 tenth. Okay, there it's a little more, like 0.3. Now, especially with that chatter in the beginning, I don't see it happening during the threading operation, but we're just going to go ahead and make a minor adjustment here of half or 1/10,000. I didn't get it. There we go. A little bit more. I really hope you can see the dial test indicator. There we go. That's where we were riding before. We'll check kind of where our throat area would be. Right about there. And that section is dead nuts on. I have not, again, I promise, swear, Boy Scouts swear, or whatever it's called, I did not touch anything. So the back end back here is dead nuts on, which means basically back here of the chamber section. Dead nuts true there. And we had to make a small 1/2 to 1/10,000th adjustment here. So we are ready to do the chamber work on this now. As you can see, I check every single time, never assume that everything's still in alignment. But now that the receiver is indexed properly, the length is exactly where we want it. We are, there's no further breech work to do in terms of a breech face. It's a flat breech, so that's all that's required. We are going to set up, we're going to drill, pre-drill, with a jobber length twist drill, about 40 thousandths shy. In this case, it's going to be a 27/64 twist drill. We're going to drill in short of the end of the bore so we have good engagement with our finish reamer. And then bore it out with a precision boring bar, clean up the drill hole, and then proceed to ream to depth, to headspace. I have 9 of these bushings that fit the range rod and other cut like reamers and other standard size cutters. I took a second to find the nominal bore diameter here before I started drilling away material. Well, it turns out obviously that nominal size is 300, right on the money. Well, this one happens to be 3002. So now I'm going to check and make sure we got proper, yep, so there's where the bore starts and the reamer's still just back, just slightly. So that's as deep as we're going to go on that. Now we're going to stick in a boring bar and clean up this hole, true it up for the finishing reamer to have a nice surface to cut on. Okay, we just want to cut enough out to true up the hole, cut out the drill chatted. Drills just don't make very nice clean holes, right? So that's all we're doing. Crank the speed back up. So like always, high rip'ems, shallow depth of cut, slow feed rate. And for that, we're going to need Lima, Charlie, 2, whiskey. That's better. Okay, so a little 4 thousandths in feed. And we are cleaning up nicely here. You can barely even hear it, but it's throwing chips out. Zero. Now we're going to reverse our feed and take a final finishing pass out. Rather than dragging the tool across, we'll do our finishing pass this way. This will ensure that hole is true with no imperfections. Okay, there we go. Nice shiny hole. Clean that out real nice. Get in there with a flashlight so I can just kind of see. Oh yeah, beautiful. Okay, that is a precision, perfectly true hole. Now we begin reaming. So this process is long, so I'll cut it off in the middle and we'll be back when we're close to headspace. But this is how it goes if you're interested. Slowly advance in. There's beginning, this first initial cut, we want to avoid that. Okay, we don't want that chatter. So we've managed to cut, I don't know if you saw, but my hand wheel is a little more aggressive. You got to play with the feeds and speeds a little bit to get that out. Now it's feeling nice and smooth, like it should. Getting quite a bit of chip load there already, so let's pull out. Yep. So yeah, what I was going to say was when I initially do this, I feel for chatter, and sure enough, had some. But sometimes that'll happen right in the beginning. Because that reamer's got to essentially find center. So no big deal, we got it out. Do one more pass, then I'm going to shut you guys off and we'll be back. So nice, thoroughly oiled. Come in gently and slowly. And I'm constantly feeling here. It's not a whole lot to cut here in the beginning until we get to the shoulder of the reamer. It's because we did all that clearing out of the material. And then the reamer's got a taper to it, obviously, so the deeper you go, the more it cuts. That's a couple hundred thousandths. Yep, we got plenty of chips there. So at this point, I'm going to cut it, and I'll pick back up when we are close to headspace, and we'll finish this off. What I'll tend to do here towards the end is, so say we got 40 thousandths, I'm going to split that in half. We're going to go, once I feel it cut, I'm going to go 20 thousandths, pull out, clean, check, and then split that number in half until we finally get to dead on headspace. Calculated headspace in this case is 115 positive. So with a flat breech system like this, your headspace is always going to be positive. It's going to be sticking out, protruding from the breech face. It has to, in order for the extractor to grab the rim, the extraction rim of the case, right? So it's always going to be slight protrusion enough to have that extractor snap over that rim in order for it to pull out a fired case. And it's definitely containing the web. All the important bits of the case are contained in the chamber, so it's all perfectly safe design. It's been around for a long time. So anyway, we'll kick it on and do these final passes. So glad you could be here with us for the ride. I hope you enjoy. Yeah, we're going to apply a little bit of cutting oil on both surfaces. We're going to come in slowly and carefully. And so we stop dead on that carriage. I'm going to feed in. There it's cutting. I'm going to set this to about 40. We're going to go to 20. We're going to stop the machine. It's very important you don't pull the reamer out during these last cuts to avoid any galling or scraping of the chamber. So we only took 20 there. We're going to lock up. We're going to retract, clean off, clean everything out, and then check again. Okay, that's good there. We're going to brush out, swab out the chamber section because we don't want that headspace gauge to give us any false readings. Back this up slightly, a little more air. So we don't want that headspace gauge reading off of anything but the datum line inside the chamber. So we're going to make sure that's all nice and clean. Stick that in. We're going to grab our action and recoil lug, and we're going to proceed to screw it on with the bolt closed. I'm going to hear a little snap right there of the extractor. And we still got a little to go. There it's not tight, but it's stopping and it's snug. So with the bolt open, we can tighten it on all the way, but the bolt handle won't close. So what I like to do here is just snug it up against the headspace gauge, then take some feeler gauges and see what we get as far as this little gap goes. There's 18 starting to grab, 19's tight. So yeah, we're tracking right on the money, about 19 thousandths, 18 to 19 thousandths to go on that chamber. So I think I'm just going to cut right to 0 on my ARO here and see if there's anything left. Okay, stop the machine again without retracting. Wait for it to stop completely. I'm going to pull back slightly and lock this. And we'll check. Trying not to bump this setup back here because if I have to come in, take another cut, don't want anything changing. I keep bumping it. Okay, so tight, and we're closing. Let's see here, we lined up, yep. Let's get us all lined up like we should be, a little torque. Look at that. Closes like it should on the go gauge. So that's it, there's headspace. All that's left to do is chamfer the mouth of the chamber, polish it up real good, the chamber that is. And while I'm at it, I polish all the other surfaces, and that way it's got some nice bling for the customer, so when they look in there, they see their nice shiny work that's been done. In this case, my customer is a match shooter. He reloads, so he wants a tighter match grade chamber, so we don't want to go any further than this. I'm going to see that bolt close. Let's measure it. Since we're here, should get something like 115 to 117. 115 right there. Right on the money. So our calculated headspace is right on the money. Physical headspace is right on the money. Closing, no problem. Put a little piece of tape on the back of that to make sure it does not close on a 0.002 more headspace or go gauge. So we'll do that. Let's put some tape on the back. This is clear cellophane tape for that matter, which gives us that 0.002 extra. The difference between a go gauge and no gauge is 0.004 in most cases. So we're splitting the difference here. Because like I said, my customer wants a match chamber here. We don't want any slop in the chamber so that there's minimal case growth. Cases last longer. There's less chance of anything moving around on you in there. Just like everything else, tighter tolerances. Still rolling. Okay, we're screwed on, tight. It's not closing on that tape, clearly not closing, so that's good. Like, how the heck did that just get bigger? Because you put a piece of tape on it, you dummy. Okay, headspace gauge is cleaned up. Just fish it back in there. And look at that. Look at that. That chamber is now fully machined, completed, done. As I said, we're just going to slap a chamfer and polish that. You see that too? So those surfaces are nice. That recoil lug's following the receiver back like that. Can't remember what that's called when two surfaces are. Oh, I used to know what that was. Whatever. So that's a nice little sign there. Okay. I think that's all there is to see here. Like I said, I'm not going to film it. I'm just going to come in with that boring bar, slap a little 45 on that mouth, which just aids in feeding. Make sure cases don't get scratched up on a sharp 90-degree corner like that. And then we're going to go in there with some light sandpaper, just polish out the chamber section and follow it up with a little bit of Scotch-Brite just to give it that extra bling. And then we're done. No burr on this to worry about. So yeah, this chambering job went extremely well. It doesn't really get any better than this. Everything came together great. A little bit of chatter in the beginning with the, not the reamer, but the beginning of the turning tool. Could be worn out carbide. It doesn't matter. We're putting threads over all that. It doesn't matter. Nothing came loose or moved the entire time. You saw me check. Chambering process, there was a little weird chatter in the beginning. That all cut out, no problem. Visually looks really good. So yeah, this one turned out really, really good. This is exactly what you want to see as a gunsmith. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it here. We got some more work to do. We got the muzzle to do still, and bedding that chassis. And you're gonna love that chassis. We painted it, we Cerakoted it for him in a special color. So stay tuned for that good stuff. You're not gonna want to miss that.